With today's game shipping with rich authoring tools, our audience is able to customize much more than just the surface level aspects of their experience. Join me as I read Merrick Braunstring's article titled The Four Types of Players/Creators to find out the different types of players/creators, what they want to create, and how this creativity can lend to the success of your next product. My name is Ryan Wienko, and this is Industry Broadcast. We'd like to start off by thanking Merrick Braunstring, a designer at Atari London studio specializing in online games, for writing today's article, and remind everybody that his blog can be found at www.gameslol.com. The four types of players/creators. User-generated content is playing an increasing role in gaming. Gamers are not only just able to customize aspects of the experience, but now many games feature rich and deeply integrated authoring tools. As more games become at least partially reliant on player creativity, it's useful to think about the different kinds of players who create and share content. It's agreed upon amongst game designers as well as Web 2.0 developers that not all users want to be creators. The so-called 90-9-1 rule says that generally 90% of the user base consumes, 9% creates from time to time, or engages in low-level participation such as tagging or commenting, and only 1% are heavy contributors. The numbers may be different for games that make it exceptionally easy to create, but in any case, it's widely understood that not everybody will want to create, and most games are designed around this understanding. That's generally where the thinking stops, though. We make distinctions between creators and consumers and take those two groups into account. But what happens when we zoom in on the creators? Are they all the same? Actually, not everybody wants to create in quite the same way. Inspired by Bartle types of MMO players, I wondered if it's possible to determine different types of player creators. Searching for a creator typology. What set off my train of thought was recalling my experience with Lego, the granddaddy of user-generated content. Well, kind of. I absolutely loved playing with Lego as a kid. I played with Lego bricks in specific ways, and was often surprised by the completely different styles of playing that other kids had. I always thought about what I wanted to build with Lego. Was it going to be a spaceship, or the Eiffel Tower, or a medieval castle? I conceptualized what I was going to make, and then I set about doing it. When I constructed, say, a wall of a building, I used the same colored bricks. That was always a huge point for me. A wall could be any color, but I never mixed the colors together, because they looked messy and unrealistic. I took a fairly structured approach to Lego building, and I think that put me in a particular category. When friends came around to play, they would often just build something without preconceiving the plans, mixing all kinds of bricks together. They'd grab random pieces from the box, one by one, pieces that they thought were cool, and then decided where to stick them. These were the kids who'd not aim to build a spaceship or a castle, but who'd end up constructing something that kinda looks like a house with trees on the roof and can also fly. It's really hard to tell. Instead of building something specific, they looked for new combinations of bricks and then figured out what it meant to them later, using their imagination along the way. Their creations could mutate dramatically throughout this process. Sometimes I'd play with a friend who'd instead come up with random challenges. For instance, one time we tried to build stairs out of Lego bricks without support columns and see how far up we could get. Why, you ask? Just because. Or he'd want to see if he could get the electric train to fly off a ramp and crash, or maybe if we could create some kind of lift for the parking garage so that the cars could get to a different level. Finally, one time I played with this kid who has just built really high towers and then randomly smashed them, running around and giggling like a girl. This left me utterly confounded. What on earth was he doing? Is that what happens when you eat too much candy? The four types of player/creators. When I recalled all of these different ways of playing with Lego, I realized that they may be representative of 4 distinctly different types of creators. I tried to come up with labels that most accurately reflect their tendencies. Builders. Builders or architects tend to pre-conceptualize their creations. They create in ways that seem sensible or structured to them. They build step by step, looking for the best version of what they've envisioned. A builder might say, I'm going to create an Indiana Jones level, or I'm going to make a character who really means business, like Jack Bauer, except he's an alien with a cool laser gun. Then they'll look for tools and options that will best enable them to do this. Imaginers. Imaginers are more like jazz musicians. They improvise with the tools, grab different elements, and see where it lands. Imaginers tend to pre-conceptualize less. Instead, they roll their Katamari ball through the creative landscape and see what sticks. Then imagine afterwards what their creation is or how it works. Imaginers don't mind creating things that don't make perfect sense, or mixing different themes together, or creating a bit of a mess. Experimenters. Like mad scientists, experimenters are driven by a desire to test the limits of the tools or game world, or perhaps alternatively, the limits of their abilities. The experimenters wonder if you can create an animal with 50 legs. He wonders how fast you can make a cart catapult itself through a level. Like builders, they pre-conceptualize their experiment, but like imaginers, they take a much more free-flowing approach to implementing them. Destructors. The Michael Bays of user creativity, destructors build things mostly thinking about how cool it'll look when you blow it up. They're not to be confused with griefers. Destructors don't want to mess things up. They want to construct things first and then mess things up. They like explosion. Destructors might build a huge stack of crates, or preferably melons or rag dolls or anything else, just to see it blow up or collapse in the most spectacular way possible. Not mutually exclusive. These types should not be seen as mutually exclusive. Players can be one or more of these types at the same time, or switch between them. For instance, I believe that most players who are not primarily destructors will become one sometimes, especially when they are fed up with the slow creative process and want to see some dramatic effects. A common behavior in SimCity is to save your city and then unleash countless tornadoes and earthquakes just to see the city crumble and burn. When I played with Lego, I was more comfortable being a builder, but would frequently slip into the Imaginer mode. While I enjoyed playing alone, because then I could just stick to my default creation mode, it was refreshing with other kids sometimes, because they forced me to create in different ways that I wasn't familiar with, and often the output would be really cool. Using the 4 creator types in game design. I believe that these 4 player-creator types can be used as a mental checklist for any game that involves player-created content. They can trigger specific questions about your game, such as, what types of creators does the game hope to attract? Which types of creators does the feature appeal to? Does the game encourage switching between creator modes, and if so, how? Much like you probably don't want to create an MMO just for achiever types, or just for explorer types, referring back to Bartle's types here, creative tools shouldn't be geared towards supporting only one type of creator. When certain creator types are underserved, the designer may decide to add features that would appeal to them. A give me a random object button will appeal to imaginers, while an achievement for highest object velocity will be exciting for experimenters. Destructors will be highly attracted to games with some form of physics simulation or pyrotechnics, as without them there will be very little else to enable them to see what they want. By providing specific goals or achievements, a game can also encourage players to explore different styles of creation. Sometimes players may want to try creating in different ways than they're used to. Of course, not all games that include some form of player-created content can foster all types of creativity. But by being conscious of the different types of creators, we can design games that are more inclusive, more engaging, and hopefully more fun. That's it for today's audio article, once again written by Merrick Braunstring. I'm Ryan Wienko of IndustryBroadcast.com, where we bring the collective insight of the gaming industry to your ears.